fact, now the All Progressives Congress has denied involvement in the recent crisis in the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly. Senior Special Assistant to the President on National Assembly Matters, Senator Ita Enang, says that the party and the police are being accused wrongly. In his comments, of course, his comments come after 2 weeks after Speaker Eniafiok Luke declared the seats of 5 lawmakers who had defected from PDP to the APC vacant, a situation which later led to thugs disrupting the plenary. The police sealed off the assembly premises, thereby preventing the lawmakers from gaining access into the building for some days. The National Assembly and the PDP have condemned the actions of the police. Let's now bring in, of course, Publicity Secretary of the PDP in Akwa Ibom State. His name, Ini Obong. He's here in the studios with us to talk more about this. Thank you very much indeed for coming.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Right. Well, a former lawmaker in Akwa Ibom, his name Honorable Esemeibo, says that the Speaker, Eniafiok Luke, acted ultra-vires, that is beyond his legal powers. As a matter of fact, he described the action as, let me use his own words now, as poor judgment and legislative delinquency. Isn't that what it is?
No, that cannot be so. Someone who acts in conformity with the Constitution cannot be acting ultra-virus. He's acting intra-virus, because the section of the Constitution, Section 109, yes, sub 1, provides the conditions under which a legislator, a state legislator would lose his seat.
Yes.
And therefore, when you look at that, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. Senator Itainang, with respect to him, said the other day on TV that there is a precedent. The law of the land, the Constitution supersedes precedent. Therefore, the Constitution says, and the question is this, my brother, why do people argue about paragraph G, whereas there are paragraphs A to F? Now, for example, it says, Section 109 sub 1 A to F says that a person would lose his seat in the House of Assembly if he becomes a member of another legislative house. Okay. Obviously, that means that
when there is a crisis.
No. I'm coming to the other conditions.
Okay.
You know, that one person cannot be a member of 2 legislative houses. So, having been a member of the State Assembly, if he becomes, for example, a member of the House of Representatives, you understand?
Yes.
His seat automatically in the Assembly is declared vacant. Is that not so?
Okay.
Now, that is because the provisions, this paragraph, are self-exacting. They are self-executing. Immediately you take the step, your seat becomes vacant. I don't know if you get it.
Yes.
Now, so G talks about defection, because legislative defection is an anomaly. It says that if you are elected into the parliament, into the House of Assembly, on the platform of a party, and you leave that party before the end of that tenure, that you would lose your seat, except, now the 2 exceptions are that if your party is in crisis or your party is involved in a merger. As of the 8th of August, when some of the lawmakers left, the PDP was neither in crisis nor in a merger. In October, when the other people left, the PDP was not in crisis or wasn't in a merger. Therefore, there were no lawful justifications for the people to defect.
All right, may I remind you that sometime last year, an APC, the only APC member, his name Asukwo Achibong, also defected from the APC to the PDP when there was no crisis at the national level. His seat was not declared vacant. Yeah. So what is the difference here?
Now, the difference is this. Immediately someone defects and he cites any of those 2 provisions as the reasons for his defection. The duty would now be for people to complain. Now, recall that subsection 2 says where evidence is brought before the Speaker, he has a duty to declare vacant. Now, in some instances, where someone defects, it is the duty of people who are affected, for example, the political party. When Senator Nelson Effiong defected, what we did in the PDP was to go to court, because we are now saying that if the presiding officer refuses to exact upon himself or to invoke the provisions of subsection 2 to declare that vacant, it is the duty. If we as a party gave you a ticket, in the case of Achibong, nobody complained, not any member of the House of Assembly who complained, the party that sponsored him did not complain, they didn't go to court. Now, when you cite that, that becomes a matter of fact whether there is crisis or not. And the Speaker is not in an adjudicating position to determine whether the crisis, because that's a judicial function, whether there is crisis or not. Therefore, in this case, what happened? When the people, the 5 lawmakers defected, the Speaker, in fact, with legislative maturity, refused to declare their seats vacant. All of them went to court. And a judgment was given in the case of Idong Esrituen. And the first relief that was granted was that having defected from the party that brought him here, his seat is lost. His seats haven't been lost. Number 2, the Speaker is restrained from recognizing him. So the Speaker was simply acting out the court order.
Now, now in this instance, what evidence was brought before the Speaker?
Of course, the evidence of the judgment, the enrolled order of court was served on the Speaker, and the Speaker had obeyed that order the very next day of court and brought the announcements to the House of Assembly and said, listen, so that I received report from the court, here is the enrolled order, and on the basis of that, I hereby obey this court order, and I have refrained from recognizing them. I've also told the institution of the House of Assembly to refrain from recognizing them. Also, information on the other 4 people were brought. And you know, the truth is this. The 4 people teamed up with the one who had gotten judgment and attempted to frustrate the sitting of the House of Assembly. Because simple, all of them had the same lawyer, and the prayers, the matters they filed in court were the same, except for the change of names. I don't know if you get it.
Yes.
So one case haven't gone down. They clearly knew that the remaining 4 would go like that. So they teamed up with the Idong Esrituen on the 19th and attempted to stop the House of Assembly from sitting.
All right. Now, let me just ask this. What do you think could have been the governor's failings that could have led to this plot to impeach him?
The governor's failing. The governor is a very mature gentleman who sits there and allows everyone to do the work for which he was elected to do. He clearly allows the separation of powers to operate the way it ought to. Now, the only reason the governor has been involved in all of this... Do
you think so? Because the governor, we saw visuals of the governor with some security personnel at the State Assembly complex.
Yes, at that point, the geographic space of the House of Assembly is still under the control of the governor as the chief security officer. And the legislature, being the symbol of democracy, at that point was under attack. At a point where a governor sits at his office, which is 350 meters away from the State House of Assembly, and discovers that policemen aided and abetted 5 former lawmakers to attempt to have a sitting.
But the police have also denied that, and Eta Enang, who is also the advisor to the President on National Assembly, has absolved themselves
but there are
the
videos
of complicity.
I don't know if you've not seen the video of the House of Comedy sitting where 5 members attempted to sit, teleguided, a former sergeant at arms had entered. What do you expect Eta Enang to say? That is why he has refused to go into the nitty-gritty. You would have asked him, if you have the opportunity, ask him who is the Speaker of Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly. The quorum of the House of Assembly by Section 96 is stipulated 1/3. Yeah. And the APC issued a statement and said that they suspended 11 lawmakers. Now the question is, where did you find the quorum to sit? Because for a house to sit, to even suspend, you must have a quorum, which is 9.
Yes.
Now, for a house to sit and suspend or remove a speaker to be able to have a new speaker, you must comply with Section 92 of the Constitution. So these are manifest irregularities. And for the police commissioner said he didn't have a court order to prevent people from sitting. But the police commissioner has forgotten that under Section 4 of the Police Act, which he ought to know, that the general powers of the police is first to prevent the commission of crime, the commission of felony. And
which was what they did.
Yeah, which was what they did. For 5 people who do not have quorum, 5 people who claim to have impeached the speaker, 5 people who claim to suspend 11 lawmakers, that is clearly felony. So the police have a duty without a court order to prevent, because those things are likely to cause breakdown of law and order.
Law and order. All right. Ini Emeng Obong, Publicity Secretary of the PDP in Akwa Ibom State. We thank you very much indeed for coming to share your thoughts with us. Thank you for having me.